Tonnerre de Zeus is one of the best wood coasters in all of Europe. Located at Parc Asterix in France, this ride was originally built by Custom Coasters International, but it recently underwent a major renovation by Gravity Group that included new elements and new trains that feature a special backwards row. The latter makes this a borderline top 10 wood coaster for me, and I'll explain why in this review. Tonnerre de Zeus opened in 1997 as France's second wood coaster. This was the fourth and final Custom Coasters International or CCI wood coaster to open in all of Europe. Zeus immediately became the signature attraction at Parc Asterix and received rave reviews. In its first 5 years of operation, this coaster placed in the top 2 of the annual Mitch Hawker Best Wood Coaster poll. While the popularity never dwindled with general parkgoers, the ride started to fall out of favor with coaster enthusiasts over the next decade. Some started to find the coaster rough and/or sluggish. Most still found the coaster good, just no longer elite. That was my first experience with Tonnerre de Zeus when I first rode it in 2019. I loved the first half. The big drops had some shocking ejector airtime. Then the 540-degree helix had excellent sustained laterals. However, the coaster faded in the second half. There were several bunny hills that looked like they should give airtime, and I believe they did in the ride's early years, but they did not for me. From 2019 to 2022, Gravity Group completed an extensive refurbishment on this coaster. This was done in 3 different phases. Phases 1 and 2 took place in 2019 and 2020 respectively. This was a big retrack for much of the coaster to improve the smoothness. Phase 3 was the far bigger change. This occurred in 2022. This included 3 different changes: new elements, new trains, and a new name. First, a few of the elements were completely modified. The big camelback after the first turnaround was transformed into a wave turn. This was a great change, as the old hill was really drawn out and didn't have much airtime. The wave turn is much lower, so it's faster and offers good negative Gs. The following helix was also removed and turned into a single banked hill upwards. I have mixed feelings about this one. On one hand, the old helix was one of my favorite parts of the ride. It had incredible laterals. However, shortening this section allowed the train to carry more speed through the remainder of the layout, meaning those bunny hills that did nothing for me in 2019 now delivered something. So we lost one great element to make future ones better. Then the finale was modified. A tunnel with some fog and lighting effects was added, and the profiling on the last 3 hills was adjusted. Second, this coaster got brand new trains. Originally, this coaster had 2 PTC trains. These were comprised of 7 cars, and each car had 2 rows of 2. So the old trains could hold a max of 28 riders at a time. The ride now has 2 Timberliner trains from Gravity Group. These have 13 rows of 2, so the trains now hold 2 less people. But the coaster no longer has any seatbelts, so the dispatches are a tad faster to compensate. The best aspect about the new trains was the addition of a backwards row. The back car in each train is now reversed, providing a radically different ride experience than the other rows. And spoiler alert, this is now the best seat on the coaster. Third, the ride received a new name. To signify this was a sequel of sorts, the name was changed to Tonnerre de Zeus. 2 is pronounced do in French, so it is a clever play on words. I love how this coaster looks. The first drop is framed nicely with the park's lagoon. Then the entry area looks fantastic. You enter the coaster under a giant Zeus statue, and this thing is a work of art. It belongs in the Louvre. It's massive in scale, and then he has these crazy eyes and he's getting ready to chuck a lightning bolt at guests. But most importantly, if you look up as you enter the line, you'll notice he is wearing rubber ducky underwear. I absolutely love this park's weird sense of humor. Then the station is designed to look like an ancient Greek temple with these giant columns. It's large in scale, and it gives the coaster an epic feel. This is the station I think we all envisioned Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg to have, but I digress. Lastly, the trains look fantastic too. They look sleek and modern. The blue really pops, and I love the detailing. You have thunderbolts on the side of the train, and Zeus's face in the lead car. While there isn't much theming along the course outside of the tunnels, that is fine by me. Most of this coaster takes place in a backstage area behind a maintenance road. This secluded setting results in some spectacular, and very dark night rides once the sun goes down. This setting makes the coaster a royal pain to photograph though. The best vantage points for this coaster are from the on-site hotels, or from the Aerolaf aerial bar adjacent to the coaster. I was not able to try either of these in my recent visit, which is why I only have a limited set of footage available for this ride. Tonnerre de Zeus is still one of the most popular rides at Parc Asterix, so it routinely gets waits exceeding an hour. But there are 3 ways to beat the crowds. First, head here right at opening. As of 2023, many people now make Toutatis their first stop, so if you head to Zeus first, you can typically get on with a minimal wait. The downside with this approach is that the wood coaster typically needs some time to warm up. Second, head here at the end of the day. The coaster should be running at its best, and if the park is open late enough, you can get one of those coveted night rides. Third, purchase the park's full-automatic skip-the-line system. This is the fastest way to get on the coaster, especially midday. There are several tiers offering access across multiple rides, or you can purchase a single shot for roughly €8. When you reach the station, the employees will assign you a row. From what I saw, they will let you request a row, as they let multiple trains worth of people queue up for each lane at a time. Compare that to the park's other coasters where they only let enough people in the station to fill the next train, so it's a bit harder to request a row. I think the best seats are towards the back, with the backwards row specifically being the best spot to ride. Originally, this backwards row was an €8 upcharge. Later, it was changed to a free reservation system on the park's app. As of summer 2023, you can just queue up for this row normally. It had a longer wait than the other rows, but it's well worth it. If you're in the standby lane, let the operators know you want the backwards row when you reach the platform, and they'll send you over there. If you have the fuel automatics, you want to take the unmarked left lane as you head into the station. The right lane is for all other rows. Zeus has some of the fastest operations of any wood coaster. The long lines are solely because of the ride's popularity. I never saw the crew stack trains once. They were completing the restraint checks in 20 seconds flat. That's incredible. Part of it is the fact that all belongings ride with guests. That includes bags. So much like a Disney coaster, you place your backpacks and purses at your feet. I was stunned a coaster this intense did that, but it doesn't seem to be an issue. Just note the trains can get a bit cramped for legroom if you have a larger backpack with you. I find the seats comfortable, but I know larger guests may find them a bit narrow. The restraints are similar to the other Timberliners. You have just a lap bar that swivels from the side. It's bulky, but profiled well. One small change is that the back 2 rows have small headrests, but I never ended up using them. Once checked, you roll out of the station, turn right, and ascend the 10-story tall lift hill. If you look off to your left, you can see the remnants of the old helix still in place, and I like how they have a memorial of sorts with the old PTC train sitting on some of the remaining track. Once at the top, you turn right, and you head down the ride's fantastic first drop. If you're seated towards the back, you get the strongest airtime in the ride. You get a nice ejector pop. It's especially sweet in the backwards row because you'll find yourself falling backwards afterwards. Along with the airtime, this drop takes you into this cool looking subterranean tunnel. The rocks are designed to look like this angry face, complete with glowing red eyes and sharp teeth. You then jump into the first turnaround. The entry offers decent floater airtime up front. The turn then dips down and up, offering okay laterals along the way. Then the resultant drop gives weak, but somewhat sustained floater airtime in the rear rows. Again, this drop is particularly good in the backwards row because you get a bit of a freefall effect. Next comes a wave turn, and this element is spectacular. It's the most sustained spot of negative G's in the ride, as it offers nice sideways floater airtime. Not only that, but you get some great head choppers with the supports off to your side. I'm used to this element on RMC hybrids, but it was a unique touch seeing a wave turn on a traditional wood coaster, and it ended up flowing quite nicely. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think this may be the first opportunity we've had to experience a wave turn in reverse, and it's super disorienting in those rear seats. This immediately exits into a speed hill. This is fast, and offers a nice pop of floater airtime for all. You then twist upwards and to the right. This replaced the helix. While the laterals are nowhere nearly as strong as the old helix, they're still solid and sustained. This leads into a straight and sizable drop. Before the renovation, this had a very noticeable kink that resulted in a sharp pop of ejector airtime. Unfortunately, the gravity group retract smoothed the entry into this hill, so those in back merely get floater airtime now, albeit good floater at least. And as with the first two drops, it's even more potent in that backwards row because the drop sneaks up on you. Next is back-to-back bunny hills, both of which give floater pops. The airtime is decent up front, but weaker towards the back. Then comes another turnaround. This one is low to the ground. You have a little bunny hop into it, giving an okay burst of airtime for all. The turn feels fast because it's tucked among the supports. Then the X is a little dip downwards, giving some more airtime for those in back once again. You then have two more bunny hills. The first is the one hill on the ride that's still a dud. It offers no airtime for anyone. The second one is quite interesting though. Those up front get lifted out of their seat over the top. Then the drop is kinked left, giving everyone a solid and surprise jolt of laterals. It's particularly sharp going backwards because you cannot see it coming. This seemingly comes out of nowhere. You then dip downwards, getting some mild airtime in the back, before navigating another low turn. If you are used to the old Zeus, it's very noticeable how much more speed you carry at this point after the refurb. The exit of this turn dips downwards, giving an okay pop of airtime for those in back. Then you zoom into the ride's new tunnel. It is deafeningly loud. Timberliners are very loud to begin with, and the sound echoes right back at you off the walls. Then the tunnel is visually cool as well, as you have fog and these glowing lightning effects. They really accentuate the speed. This compensates for the track really not doing too much at this point. When you exit, you have this off-axis bunny hill over a service road. This offers weak airtime up front, but it's better in the back. The airtime is more powerful there, and more sustained as you're pulled downwards. You then twist left into another off-axis bunny hill. This one offers decent floater airtime for all. Immediately afterwards, you have another bunny hill that offers a little bit of airtime up front. Then you have the ride's finale. It is a 270-degree spiral into the brakes. It's a fun visual circling around the queue, but the forces aren't anything to shout about here. You then hit the brakes and return to the station, ending the nearly 4,000 feet, or 1,219 meter long coaster. I don't know the exact track length today because the figure report is based off the original layout, which has been slightly shortened. The big renovation definitely improved this ride's pacing. This was a big issue in the original form's later years, as the second half felt sluggish. Outside of one or two hills in the middle, most elements on Zeus now deliver. The ride carries good speed start to finish, and the coaster was tossing my body about, whether it be with airtime or laterals, particularly in that backwards row when you couldn't anticipate what would happen next. Now, what about the smoothness? I have noticed a lot of rides retrofit with timberliners seem to develop a shovel. Now, Zeus is not glossy smooth. The train noticeably shakes on the turns, particularly as you move further back in the train. But it wasn't too excessive, and the way the trains are padded prevent any discomfort, at least for me. My wife, who is more sensitive to roughness, had no trouble with Zeus in the forwards rows, but she did find the backwards experience a bit too intense for her taste with all that shaking. So, what would I rate Tonnerre de Zeus? I would give this coaster an 8.5 out of 10. I think rows 1 through 12 are worthy of an 8, but the backwards row is a 9, so I'll split the difference. This is a really good coaster. I really like the layout, as it mixes in airtime and laterals, and because it's in a backstage area, much of it is a mystery for a first-timer. Then the recent changes have improved the overall ride experience. While I think the laterals are weaker than before, the pacing is much improved. While there still are one or two hills that don't quite deliver, along with some shuffling, much of the ride is phenomenal, and those backwards rides in particular left me breathless. I think this is probably my second favorite wood coaster in all of Europe now, if I'm in that backwards row, as it is just behind Wildfire Kolmarden for me. That is how good the renovation in that backwards row in particular make this ride. I really want more coasters to get that type of seat. I was interested to see how this would compare with Leviathan at SeaWorld in Australia. That was a ground-up gravity group wood coaster that opened with a backwards row from day one, meaning it was designed with a backwards seat in mind. while Zeus clearly was not. I really liked both rides in reverse, mainly because of the unpredictable nature. The forces end up feeling similar between them, but I do give a slight edge to Leviathan because that coaster, at this time at least, is smoother. So those are my thoughts on Tonnerre de Zeus at Parc Asterix. What are your thoughts on this wood coaster? Do you think the Gravity Group refresh took this ride to a new level? Or do you prefer the old form? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.